This is the fourth video in my series examining the cases presented in Missing 411, Eastern United States. If you haven't seen the others, the playlist will be in the description below. My sources will be linked in a pastebin document. I'll present the case as it appears in Missing 411, then examine it more closely. Don't take me or anyone else at their word. Do your own research. We are resuming where we left off last time with berry pickers going missing in the United States and Canada. We'll start with Wesley David Pietot. Wesley, who was 7 years old at the time, went missing on August 4th, 1932, from Strawberry Mountain in Washington State. In the late afternoon, he wandered out of sight from his mother and grandmother. The women heard Wesley scream 2 times and immediately went for him but found nothing. Within 2 days, 50 men on horseback searched for Wesley but could not find him. There are similarities, in this case, in the disappearance of Jimmy Duffy, who disappeared in the same general vicinity. Let's review. First point is correct, sort of. I found 2 articles, and both of them refer to him as Willie Dave Pietot. Second and third points are correct as far as I can tell. And the fourth point is technically correct. The men didn't find him in 2 days. They found him on the 3rd day. Here's a quote from the Los Angeles Times from August 8th, 1932. Quote, "After a 3-day search in the wilds of Strawberry Mountain, posse men today found Willie Dave Pietot, 7-year-old Indian boy, safe but thirsty. Willie slipped from his mother's side as she picked huckleberries. He was headed towards civilization when the searchers came upon him. He said that he ate wild berries but could find nothing to drink." Close quote. This case shouldn't even be included in Missing 411 in my opinion, and the fact that it does shows an obvious lack of research on the part of the author. Given all the discrepancies we have seen so far, I know that I shouldn't expect anything more from David Pilates, but come on. While we're here, we may as well talk about the last point, even though it's pretty moot at this stage. Again, we see that Mr. Pilates has a penchant for saying that something is close when it's not. Jimmy Duffy went missing from Lake Wenatchee, which is more than 200 miles away by car and more than 110 miles away by air from Strawberry Mountain. Further, Jimmy went missing in 1973, more than 50 years after Wesley. The circumstances surrounding this case are also different. Mr. Pilates never ceases to confuse me by drawing parallels when there aren't any, or when only 1 or 2 elements vaguely coincide. Unfortunately, this line of cases being similar is parroted across several online blogs and websites from people who obviously didn't really look into either case. The next case is George Winky. George, who was 58 at the time, went missing on July 27th, 1935, from near Brightstone, Ontario. He was traveling with 24 other residents from his hometown to go berry picking in Brightstone. The group arrived at their berry picking spot and separated. When they gathered to go home, only George was missing. The group went home without George, but returned the next day to look for him with 3 truckloads of searchers. He was never found. This is one of the times when the information presented is actually how it appears in the material, so we'll just skip this one and move on to the next case. Emma Steffy is up next. Emma, who was 75 at the time, went missing on July 15th, 1939, from the Welsh Mountain Wilderness near Reading, Pennsylvania. She was picking huckleberries at the time. A neighbor spotted her 8 miles from her residence and asked her if she needed a ride, but she declined. She had her pipe, tobacco, sandwiches, and coffee with her. Searches, comprised of farmers and state police, went on for 3 days. On the 4th day, Emma returned to her residence with a torn dress and explained that she had hit her head badly. There's little detail about what happened to her while she was missing. I was able to find an article in the Intelligencer Journal and Public Opinion that clears up some details, thanks to Venetter Designs LLC. The first and second points are correct. The third point is sort of correct. The neighbor returned to Emma and eventually convinced her to let him take her home. About 3 miles away from her house, she made him pull over and let her out because she had forgotten her jacket. For point 4, she also had a basket and matches with her. Points 5 and 6 seem to be correct. Point 7, there is some more detail in an interview that she gave. She said that she hit her head and lost her way. She clarified that she did not panic because, quote, Jesus was with me, close quote. I agree that there isn't much detail here, but the fact that she was able to interview with a newspaper while smoking on her porch on the 19th suggests that she wasn't too traumatized from the experience. Just another short interjection here that, again, I'm not sure what the selection criteria is for missing 411. I've seen it said in many times that, missing 411 has mysterious missing cases where the normal explanations such as foul play, animal attacks and such are excluded. Well, in Emma's case, she went missing, yes, but she came back and even explained that she had hit her head and was confused for a number of days. Even if you're skeptical that nothing else happened, we have to work with what's available to us. I, for one, think that maybe something could have happened in that car that made her uncomfortable and made her feel like she had to flee, and now she just doesn't want to talk about it. But even if that's the case, we have to accept what's reported. In these older cases especially, there's just not a lot of information. Anyway, moving on. Simon Skogen. Simon, who was 9 at the time, went missing on July 2nd, 1940, 55 miles north of Winnipeg, Manitoba. He was visiting his grandparents at the time. The area he went missing in had a lot of farms and swamps. The day he disappeared, he was berry picking with his grandfather. Law enforcement was immediately called, and the military sent personnel as well. Heavy rain hindered the search. The search continued for over 30 days. On July 29th, 1940, the Windsor Daily Star reported that native trackers had found traces of someone living on berries and sleeping in the woods, and farmers said that their cows were milked almost dry in the mornings. Simon, nor whoever was living in the forest, was ever found. I guess the inference here is that a 9-year-old was able to elude native trackers and live off of berries and milk. Considering that cows produce around 7 gallons of milk a day, it's kind of ridiculous to suggest a 9-year-old is milking several cows dry every morning. But let's focus on the facts. Points 1 through 4 appear to be correct. The only reference to law enforcement I saw was that the RCMP was added to the search on the 6th. I wasn't able to find any information about point 6. 7 seems correct. For the last 2 points, the same article suggests that Simon was affected by some sort of mental break called, I'm going to butcher this, maladie du bois, or bush sickness. It cites an occasion where 2 years prior, a Boy Scout went missing for 2 weeks and had to be chased down and caught since he was inexplicably running from his rescuers. Most importantly, the last point is incorrect. Simon Skogen was found in a bush by a farmer in October of the same year. Quote, Dr. Goodwin thought the young Skogen died 2 days after he disappeared. Apparently, he strayed from the trail and became lost in the dense underbrush. Close quote. Again, is this sloppy research or was this point purposefully omitted? Either way, my opinion of Mr. Pilates and his credibility is waning very fast, as you can probably tell. Up next is Mrs. August Nelson. August, who was 75 at the time, went missing on July 28, 1943, from Drummond, Wisconsin. She was partially disabled and required a cane to walk. She left her residence and walked into the woods to pick berries. Bayfield County Sheriff and 50 volunteers searched for her but could not find her. The sheriff stated that she must have wandered off and gotten lost. Mr. Pilates interjects with his opinion at this point, asserting that this case makes no sense. He points out that an elderly woman who needs a cane to walk should be easy to track down, and it would appear as though she has been abducted. He emphasizes this point, which I will highlight later, so I'll read it here. Quote, I want readers to keep a mental note of the number of disabled individuals that go missing. It's abnormally large. Close quote. Here's a review. I was able to find 2 articles that said basically the same thing. One article said that she was 73, the other one says 75. Both agreed that she went missing on the 24th. Second point is correct. Both articles state that she was near a town 8 miles from Drummond, which would suggest that she didn't just walk out her door and disappear. One article says that 80 people searched, the other one says more than 50, which 80 is. The sheriff did seem to express the opinion that she got lost. The idea of she couldn't have eluded 50 men is just silly. I mean, people searched for a similarly aged woman in the Emma Steffy case for 3 days while she was there, and she made it back on her own. Plus, it didn't help that August had a 4-day head start. But Mr. Pietot failed to mention that, didn't he? The search took place on the day he incorrectly listed as her going missing, Wednesday 28th. As far as we know from the articles, she went missing on the previous Saturday, the 24th. I would say that a 4-day head start would be pretty sufficient to get very lost. Next up is CH Bordwell. I wasn't able to find his actual first name. Mr. Bordwell, age unknown, went missing on August 1st, 1944, 18 miles east of Keewatin, Maine. He was the chairman of the instrumental music department. He went berry picking with his wife and friends. They split up, and Mr. Bordwell did not return to the meeting spot. A search was conducted, including bloodhounds, but he wasn't found. Now Mr. Pietot makes this statement, quote, again, a healthy person disappears, is never found, and the search is terminated. I want all readers to take a breath here and realize that this is a human life that is completely lost. Bordwell wasn't lost in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. He was 18 miles from his house. How does this happen? Why can't bloodhounds find certain people who disappear? Close quote. This paragraph is fascinating to me, since 2 paragraphs prior to this little rant, he points out that lots of disabled people disappear, and now he's complaining that a healthy person disappears. So I guess both of those are abnormal. He wants it both ways. It's just an odd tangent for this place in the book, especially given that Mr. Bordwell was found alive and well after 2 days. Gee, maybe that's why the search was called off. Here's what I mean. Mr. Bordwell went missing on July 30th, 1944, 18 miles east of Keewatin, Minnesota. But hey, Maine is only 1,100 miles from Minnesota, so it's practically the same place by Mr. Pietot's standards. He was indeed a music department director, yes, but I'm not sure why that matters. He normally doesn't mention the occupation of other people who go missing. The 3rd and 4th points are correct. Now let's go into the 5th point, which is very, very wrong, like I've already given away. Let me read this article for you. Quote, CH Bordwell, Keewatin Music Department Director, rested safely at his home here Wednesday after being found by search parties. He had been missing since a berry-picking party on Sunday. Searchers found Bordwell sitting in mud and water in the little swamp country south of Hibbing, completely exhausted, disheveled, and torn from 2 days and nights of wandering in the woods. Bordwell told his rescuers that he had been trying to follow the railroad tracks while listening for the engine whistles, but was stopped by the heavy undergrowth. Close quote. I hope you forgive my indignation, but this is unacceptable. The cherry on top is that this is the point in which Mr. Pietot goes on a tangent about how human life is lost, when this is one of the ones where it has a happy ending and everything is explained. Just incredible. I can tell that I'm beginning to get a little angry at this stage as I write this script. So I'm going to stop here so I can reset and bring my bias back down. Even reading this back at this point, I feel my frustration welling up just from the sheer lack of research and the omission of several cases where people are found, and it never says it is. Anyway, we will pick up the berry picking chapter next time. Until then, take care.